So after UFC 296, Dana White went on the press conference and announced some big-time fights for UFC 299, I believe, for March 9th. That's the Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera fight card. And these are the fights. Michael Venom Page is now in the UFC, and he will fight Kevin Holland as his first opponent. Holy shit. The next fight, Song Yadong versus Petr Yan, which should have happened in December. We literally should have just saw it, but Petr Yan pulled out due to an injury, but we're getting it in March. Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. And Ian Garry versus Geoff Neal. What a fight card this is. That is looking like the best fight card of the year. Shit, let's see how UFC 300 looks, because UFC 299 looks fantastic. This is a fantastic fight card all around. I'm going to leave timestamps in the description because I'm going to talk about each fight. So if you guys just want to see, me talk about one of the fights, it's going to be in the description. There's also like going to be some timestamps in the video, the line or whatever. So if you guys want to go there, do that. But let's go ahead and talk about the first fight though, which is between Michael Venom Page and Kevin Holland. Holy crap. Michael Venom Page, if you guys don't know who he is, he was in Bellator for quite some time. He's been kind of like in and out. I believe he did a bare knuckle fight against Mike Perry. And a lot of people thought that he won that fight, but I think they gave the decision to Mike Perry. That's besides the point. That is a huge fight for the UFC. I mean, this is, I don't care what nobody says. Michael Venom Page is one of the most entertaining and just eccentric guys that I think I've ever seen fight. He has some crazy knockouts, and it's crazy. I haven't even seen a full fight from him, aside when he got knocked out by Douglas Lima years ago. If you guys don't know, Douglas Lima's like a Bellator legend, I believe. And he fought Michael Venom Page. I don't know, I believe it might have been for a title. And Douglas Lima, had one of the cleanest KOs I think I've ever seen on Michael Venom Page, where he kicked him, and caught Michael Venom Page off guard and just knocked him out on the way up. And Michael Venom Page just dropped, and that was it. It was one of the greatest knockouts I think that I've ever seen. But aside that, Michael Venom Page, I've seen just highlight reels of his all of his knockouts. Dude, his fight style is so weird. He's super over dramatic, but I mean he just plays to the crowd. He's just super obviously confident on the feet. It's very weird. He has his hands down and he kind of just throws, but he lands, and he lands significantly. And don't get me wrong, he's not fighting high level competition. You're not going to the UFC. And listen, when you're fighting a guy like Kevin Holland, and Kevin Holland hits pretty hard, he can knock you out. He shouldn't be fighting like that, but I feel like he's going to put on a show. I think this is going to be, this is an entertaining fight. Two of the most, some of the entertaining guys in, MMA going up against each other. That's going to be fireworks. I think it's going to be fantastic, and it could be fight of the night. Right now, if I have to make a prediction, I think I'm taking Holland right now. I think I'm taking Kevin Holland, and I think I'm taking him by a unanimous decision. But who knows with this fight? I think this should start the fight card off, because it's man, you seeing that immediately, it's holy shit. Michael Venom Page, if you haven't seen any highlights, I would suggest you do. He has a crazy knockout where he has a jumping knee, and he literally fractures the dude's skull. It is gross. It is disgusting. And he does a crazy celebration with a Pokeball or whatever. It's some Pokemon celebration. It was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it was gross, but insane. Yeah, just go watch Michael Venom Page highlights. I've done that many times before, because it's damn, why is this guy not in the UFC? But then I see it, I'm he's probably not going to do that to he ain't going to do it to a guy like Leon Edwards. He ain't going to do that to a guy who knows? Who knows? He's in the UFC now, and if he can beat Kevin Holland, I don't know what will be next for him after that, but that's a huge first fight coming into the UFC. They're kind of treating him like Michael Chandler, to be honest with you, where Michael Chandler kind of got, a big opportunity against a guy like Dan Hooker, and he knocked Dan Hooker out and immediately got a title shot. I'm not saying he's going to get a title shot after beating Kevin Holland, but still, I would love to see, what will be a fight after that, if he still wants to continue fighting and not fight Colby Covington. Wonder Boy versus Michael Venom Page sounds very intriguing to me as well. That's a great fight as well, if he's able to beat Kevin Holland. So that is a great fight. And and I'm excited to see that. Song Yadong versus Petr Yan. This fight right here, we should have saw it in December for the the fight card, the fight night that happened, but Song Yadong ended up fighting Chris Gutierrez on short notice because of Yan pulling out due to injury. This fight right here, I am extremely excited for. And if I'm being honest, man, I think this is probably going to be one of the, if it's not going to be Page versus, if it's not going to be Michael Venom Page versus Kevin Holland, this is probably my fight, and I think this fight is very cool, stylistic matchup. I did pick Petr Yan to win this fight. I think I'm not too sure about it now because this is still a long layoff. I mean, it's now going to be over a year since we've seen Petr Yan in the cage. So it's going to be maybe a little bit of ring rust. I still believe he could win, but I'm not as confident in picking Petr Yan as I was months ago when I made my prediction. It is a close fight. I think it's a very good fight. But right now, I can definitely see Song Yadong win this fight, man. I'm not confident in this fight anymore. I don't know. I don't see... Man, I don't know. I just think it's the long layoff after not fighting. If he would have fought at the end of the year, I would have been more confident. But now we got to wait another 3 months to see Petr Yan fight again. And it's like, damn, bro, I want to see him fight again. It sucks. But, I mean, we are going to see him fight. Hopefully, everything goes well and they actually fight this time. But this is a great fight. Very competitive fight. I can definitely see a split decision. I don't think there's not going to be a finish in this fight. Both guys are they really are not, they don't tend to get finished, pause if needed. I mean, obviously both guys can, have knockout power and stuff like that, but I don't think there's going to be a finish in this fight whatsoever. I think it's going to be like a split or a decision, a close decision victory for either guy. I think I'm going to go Song Yadong. I think I'm going to pick Song Yadong. I think him being more active is going to benefit Song Yadong a lot more than it does Petr Yan. Him not being active whatsoever is going to hinder Petr Yan in this fight. And I'm changing my pick. I'm going with Song Yadong in this. But I'm not entirely confident because I can definitely see Petr Yan win. He's definitely still one of the best bantamweights in the world. And Song Yadong, still very young and still learning, I believe. And I can definitely see the crafty veteran getting the victory over him. I mean, the championship, the experience of Petr Yan is big time for him. And I think he will be able to utilize that against a guy like Song Yadong. And he could definitely win. But right now, I'm going to pick Song Yadong just because he's more active. Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. This right here is a really solid fight. But the thing is with this, I think Gilbert Burns, going into this fight, is going to grapple. He is going to try and grapple with Jack Della Maddalena and try to utilize that grappling. Because I think in the striking department, even though I think that Gilbert Burns could strike with him, Gilbert Burns in this last fight did not look good in the striking department. And I think he's going to be second-guessing striking with a guy like Jack Della Maddalena because he was not as... Bro, Jack Della Maddalena is a better... striker than Belal Muhammad, in my honest opinion. I think that the striking prowess of Jack Della Maddalena is better than Belal Muhammad's. So I think he's going to try and utilize the grappling in these exchanges, trying to get close to Jack. And I think right now, this is a really close fight too. These are really close fights to predict. I want to pick Jack Della Maddalena. I think he's going to be able... We got to see how his takedown defense is. I really have to see it. Because we haven't seen a whole lot from him yet, from JDM. And anything can happen in this fight, I believe. But I can definitely see Gilbert Burns get the unanimous decision victory. But I could see, JDM has some power in his hands. And I can definitely see him put out Gilbert Burns. You know what I mean? Because that striking is very good. He's one of the best strikers in the division. But this is a really close fight. This is kind of similar to Song Yadong and Petr Yan. You know what I mean? An up-and-coming guy who is a really good prospect versus a guy who has been established in the division in Gilbert Burns, I think Jack wins this fight. I think JDM gets the victory, but I'm not confident in this fight whatsoever as well. I will have to look at some tape. I gotta watch the fight again between JDM and Kevin Holland, and the other fights before that as well. I gotta see, and maybe I'll change my pick. I can maybe Gilbert Burns. Maybe when we get to the fight, maybe I change my pick to Gilbert Burns. I will have to see some more footage, and then I'll probably think of a prediction for that prediction video that comes out later this year or next year, pretty much. But right now, I think I'm going to go JDM, but I'm not confident in that pick whatsoever. But this is a great fight in this division, and it's a great fight for both guys. And I think JDM can get the job done, and I think he will be, what, like in the top 7? I mean, I don't know where he is right now in the rankings, but I don't think he's not number 7 or anything like that. But that will definitely get him close to the top 5, and that would be great for him. And maybe one more fight, and that's a title shot for JDM. If he can beat Gilbert Burns and one more guy, who says that JDM can not get a title shot? You know what I mean? It will do a lot for Gilbert Burns to get another title shot again because he's just coming off a loss against Belal Muhammad. But we'll see what happens with that. But this is a great fight nonetheless. Final fight, Ian Garry versus Geoff Neal. This fight is back on. We were supposed to see Ian Garry, but he got pneumonia. And, you know, whole bunch of stuff that was going on with him. But that's besides the point. We're not even going to go outside of the UFC because this is not even... We're not even going to talk about that whatsoever. We're going to talk about Ian Garry and Geoff Neal. This is a fantastic fight as well. These are great fights. And these guys are going to scrap. I don't think Geoff Neal is going to try and clinch or do anything with him. Because Neil Magny really didn't do anything at all to Ian Garry. I think Ian Garry's going to be able to neutralize any type of, you know, takedowns that Geoff Neal is going to. And I think it's going to be a stand-up war. I think this is going to be a war. My biggest issue with Ian Garry, and I'm picking Ian Garry to win, but I'm not confident. I'm not confident in the slightest. Ian Garry's chin. We saw Song Kanan, I believe that's his name, pretty much knock down Ian Garry big time in that fight, and that's Song Kanan. Geoff Neal is a hard, heavy hitter. I mean, he is a fucking brute force, and if he lands on the chin, it is over for Ian Garry. I'm not even trolling. I can definitely see, but man, I'm not even sure about the Ian Garry pick, because Geoff Neal, all he does is need one. And listen, I'm not saying that Ian Garry can't put him out either. I think Ian Garry can put out Geoff Neal, but the thing is, Geoff Neal, if he lands, you know, clean, flush, that's going to be big time. But I'm going to pick Ian Garry. And I think he's going to knock out Geoff Neal in the first round. I'm going to go with a first-round knockout by Ian Garry. I'm partially confident that he will be able to catch him early on, maybe with a head kick, maybe with a clean combination, and be able to put him down and finish it off with a TKO. In the first round, probably like in the middle of the first round with like 2 minutes left, around there in that range. And I think that Ian Garry can get the job done. I think with his striking prowess, I think he's a better striker than Geoff Neal. And I think he's going to be able to get to him first, and I think he knocks him out in the first round. Like I said, my confidence is not super high, but I do believe in Ian Garry's striking. I think Ian Garry is one of the better strikers in the division as well. Man, imagine a fight between Jack Della Maddalena and Ian Garry. That sounds fantastic, by the way. I wish that fight was made, but it's okay. This fight is great, too. Geoff Neal versus Ian Garry, it makes sense. This fight was supposed to happen, but Neil Magny stepped in for Geoff Neal due to, I believe, an injury or something like that, I believe. So this fight was supposed to already happen as well, but we're getting it this time. And what happens with Vicente Luque, I have no idea. I don't know what Vicente Luque does now. I have no clue, but it looks like he's going to be on the sidelines, and Ian Garry's going to now fight Geoff Neal. That is a great fight, and I can't wait for that as well. I'm going to pick Ian Garry. But that's pretty much it. UFC 299 looks fantastic on paper. It looks great. I hope, listen, knowing the UFC, one of these fights is probably going to fall through, and I hope that's not the case. I want all these fights to happen because this is going to be a potential pay-per-view of the year. And then you have the main event being, you know, why even add at this point Colby Covington to this fight card when you have these 4 fights? You might as well just add Colby Covington to the February fight card at that point, right? If he says he's, you know, saying all this shit, you might as well, you know, saying, oh, I'm good, I can fight again soon. Have him fight in February, have him fight Shavkat or somebody like that, or somebody else. Not Wonder Boy, okay? But that's besides the point. But this is a great fight card overall. UFC 299, it cooks. What they're going to do for UFC 300 is beyond me. I hope this fight... Listen, this fight card, some of these fights could be on the UFC 300, man. And it will be perfect. You know what I mean? Song Yadong versus Petr Yan, I wouldn't mind that that's on UFC 300. But that's besides the point. That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you guys soon with another video. Peace out.